All right, what's up everybody? Get started here in just a minute. Welcome back to Miami, Florida. It's a pretty beautiful night. It's quite busy though. The traffic was pretty unreal getting here. One could say that the traffic was worse than New York. It is the Art Basel for 2024. So it is quite busy here. This is the One South Beach Hotel and Residences. I see Steph UF, what's going on? Out and about. D, Alan. It's good to see everybody. And it's very good to get back in the warm weather. But wow, Miami is absolutely packed. The one thing I like about this one hotel is all the kind of cabanas. So obviously you have the lobby, then you have kind of like the bar and lounge area that everybody can hang out here. And then you have this pretty nice valet. Mimi, what's going on? Long time no see. Hope you're well. I see Harry. What's going on? Paul, cheers. RJ, Dale, Green 007. Thanks for joining us. Out and about says you're saving money for a Miami trip again. It's definitely worth it. It's awesome here. So I arrived yesterday and it's like the perfect weather right now. It's the absolute perfect weather here in Miami, mainly because, well, number one, it's not like super humid. Wow, look at this. I think this is a Bugatti. I think those type of cars are pretty expensive. I want to say probably, what, $1 million? Wow, I don't think I've ever seen one of those cars in person before, but I'm not a big car guy. I'd much rather have a Tesla. Anyway, yeah, it's not too hot. It's like 70 degrees all day today. It's quite nice. And there's virtually no humidity, which was great. So hopefully we'll be able to be down here maybe 2 weeks. And I've noticed the snowbirds have started to come down here a little bit earlier than usual. Hey, what's up, Robert? Welcome. Love how they decorate all the palm trees here. Alan's vacation or working, a little bit of both. I had to change out a tenant. So the old tenants have now left. The new tenants are coming in. So I cleaned the house today. Just gave it like a really deep clean, I guess you could say. And yeah, tomorrow I gotta do some stuff. I gotta be up a little early. But I think I'll be able to hang out maybe for like 2 or 3 days. Hopefully you had a good weekend. I see Lena Sandoval's here. Scott, this is the new, yet to be released 2025 Tesla Roadster. Will cost about $250,000. It's pretty insane. I think Elon was also hinting at the possibility of like an entry-level EV starter that's gonna be under, I think, 40,000. Or maybe even less than that. When we were in New York, we had a pretty long conversation about Teslas. The Tesla Model Y is the current most popular car in the United States, which is, I guess, is good for Tesla shareholders, such as myself. Samir, what's going on? Neo, since it's cold up north, South Florida is nice this time of year. Yeah, it's awesome this time of year, man. Yeah, it's definitely a big change from New York. It's kind of, the sun was out all day. You just feel better. I just feel a lot better down here. UniJ23, what's going on? Hope you're well. It's going to be a busy week in the markets, that's for sure. As we head into the end of the year, 2025 is almost upon us, my friends. Pretty wild. But we'll go ahead and just do the quick audio and visual check. So if you guys can hear us, and if we're streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and leave a thumbs up in the chat, and we will get started here shortly as we head towards South Beach. Maybe we'll even go all the way down by South Point Park, which is in the South of 5th neighborhood here in Miami. It is Art Basel 2024 as we head southbound on Collins Avenue towards Collins Park. And this is a really, really good Argentine steakhouse. There's one in Brickell, there's one in Sunny Isles Beach. This is a really good spot. Hey, Jimmy B, what's going on? Good to see you. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks on Wall Street. It is a beautiful Sunday night here live in South Beach, Miami, Florida. We're here for the Art Basel event. Well, that's not really why I'm here, but we're streaming down here. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, a lot of people out. The traffic has been unbelievable in downtown Miami today, Brickell, and now on this side, on the East Coast, all throughout South Beach. Now, we are coming up, here, look. They actually have a map. Free shuttle and water taxi service. I didn't know that. Water taxi service, that's interesting. Which makes sense because what you're seeing right here, that's kind of like the Wynwood Design District, all that kind of area. So if you try to go over the Venetian Causeway with a car, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, the traffic is going to be nuts. So that's actually a really good idea that they made free water taxis to kind of relieve some of the congestion. It's a really good idea. Anyway, markets have been performing well. Pretty much all the major equity indices are trading near new all-time record highs. It appears that Santa Claus has come early on Wall Street. Last week we did have some pretty breaking news. Major movements in markets outside of traditional equities. We had Bitcoin rallying above $100,000 for the first time ever. I think now we're trading at like 99,000, been wavering above 100, below 100, but settling right at around $99,000. So the question is, are we going to rally and continue to rally into the end of the year? And are we going to see some volatility early Q1 2025? Because as we spoke about, as we're looking over the beautiful Collins Park, chances are when you have a more than favorable year, right? Stocks have been ripping. Pretty much every single investment has performed really, really well. Fund managers, to delay the taxes, right, to kick the taxes out an additional year, will start to ring the register, so to speak, or sell some of those winning positions, not at the end of the year, but early Q1, first week of January. And the thought there is, if you sell for a major profit, particularly if it's going to be a short-term capital gain, if you sell in early Q1 of 2025, you don't have to pay those taxes, obviously, in April, right? You would pay them the following April in 2026. So we'll see what happens. Should be interesting. But without further ado, let's go ahead and say hello to everybody in the chat. I'm sure we're going to enjoy the sights and sounds of Miami tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. I see Professor Dario is here. Professor, I was in Little Buenos Aires for a short while today. Neo, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Anna is here. D, Robert, Harry, Marcelo TB. What's up, Marcelo? Look at this display here. This is the Eden Art Gallery. Carl Roth, what's going on? Says, hello, Tom. Good evening. Hope you're having a nice time in Miami. What are you going to show us this evening? Well, it is Art Basel, so I think we're probably going to see some interesting, maybe art displays all up and down Collins Avenue. Who knows? A lot of that stuff takes place in Wynwood, though. I would say the Design District, Wynwood, and the like, but I don't know. It does look very eventful in Miami, at least to me. You have this huge like red carpet rolled out here. Trade Brigade, what's going on? Welcome to South Beach. Definitely a lot warmer down here than from our New York excursions. Now, Trade Brigade posted a tweet today asking, for some ticker symbols that look interesting for some analysis. I think the biggest thing for me that's super, super interesting is a lot of those old TMLs, like the old true market leaders, are starting to get recycled again. So if you think about the bull market of 2021, a lot of those stocks that we were trading there, like Atlassian, ticker symbol TEAM, Datadog, ticker symbol DDOG, and also, Robinhood and Coinbase are really emerging out of that stage one base. So it's going to be interesting to see if we continue to get that rotation out of the big caps and into some of the smaller cap names. We'll see. Who knows? A lot of those charts look good, particularly Datadog. So usually the frothiness, that's kind of like your second stage in the market, will start to hit those high beta, SaaS stocks, so to speak. Now, last week in New York City was the Deal Book Summit with Andrew Ross Sorkin. You had some amazing, amazing interviews. I think he did a really good job, one of which being Jeff Bezos. You guys really need to take some time out of your weekend, if you haven't already, just to check out that interview. It's about an hour and a half interview with Jeff Bezos and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Number two, the interview with Ken Griffin of Citadel Securities. Just really, really good stuff, kind of giving an outlook or a forecast on what we can expect going forward in 2025. I'd say the biggest takeaway there is that, business leaders think America is open for business, which maybe we'll get a little bit of an uptick in M&A transactions in 2025, who knows? Trade Brigades, the charts are incredible right now, some really great opportunities. Yeah, it seems like a lot of stuff is setting up. Speaking about Amazon, Amazon looks really, really good. Now, if you look at these three stocks, like the big mega cap ones, right? The three that are mostly high on my radar right now, as we're taking a look at all these kind of Art Deco buildings, has been Netflix, Alphabet, and Amazon. And all three of those companies, in terms of their chart and their stock price, are acting very similar, right? They're all coming off earnings reports, relatively speaking, right, from the last quarter. They had better than expected earnings, and they've all gapped up into new record highs and continue to run. So Amazon, I think, closed at the dead high of the day, and the dead high of the week on Friday. That's in a new record high territory. You have Netflix now trading at $914. I think that long-term target is going to be that Jesse Livermore round number of $1,000, and I think that'll probably cap off the meat of the move for the bull market. One last thing I want to say about Amazon, right? Usually, many people talk about, what should you put more weighting on, fundamental analysis or technical analysis? I'm really mostly a fundamentalist person, but the reason why we talk about charts so much is because usually the fundamentals will corroborate with the charts. Chances are if a company is reporting very good earnings, if they're coming off 6 to 8 beat and raise earnings reports, well, the chart's probably going to look really good. It's probably going to look like it's going up and to the right. But if a company is performing really poorly, they don't have any earnings, they're in revenue decline, well, then their chart is probably not going to look that good, right? So, especially after that interview with Jeff Bezos at the Deal Book Summit by the New York Times in the Deutsche Bank Center, Jeff said that he's spending the vast majority of his time every single day at Amazon, but specifically on artificial intelligence. So the AWS business is going to explode, and I think there's a lot of runway there. And it's not only from Jeff Bezos, it's from all the major CEOs of the hyperscalers. Yeah, Trade Brigade too. This is and Tesla. I think Tesla, I was tweeting about this or posting on X. A lot of people have been short Tesla in this rally, particularly if you spend a lot of time on X. There's been some notable fund managers that I know that have had short positions on Tesla. But you gotta understand the history of how that stock usually moves and the forward guidance and the massive opportunity that Tesla has. You don't want to be short Tesla right now. Many people think that, the move in Tesla is getting a little bit frothy, right? Because it's up, almost 100% or more. It's almost up like 300% from the lows. The move on those type of stocks, they don't start until they hit new highs, right? So we haven't even broken a new high for Tesla since the 2021 blow off top. You're going to see that go nutty. Things are going to get really, really nutty, and that's kind of when you can look to the big crescendo, right? The blow off tops that usually end and conclude big bull markets. So it's going to be interesting to see some of this movement. Reggie 44 says Palantir. That's been another one that has emerged just unbelievably out of that stage 1 IPO base. I really bungled that stock. I should have had a bigger position in that, to be honest. Trade Brigades is the XLY, now the third heaviest weight sector in the S&P. Harry Connor says, how about Syria? I'm not too read up on that. I was seeing a bunch of stuff coming out, I guess. I'm not an expert over there, but if anybody is, please, post your thoughts in the chat. But apparently there was a major revolution that happened over the weekend. I don't know anything about it, but hopefully it's for the better as opposed to for the worse. MD says exactly, maybe look at selling puts on Tesla and collecting premium. I don't know anything about that. Maybe. I don't really have that expertise there. Apoth says, what about XRP? I don't own any of the altcoins, so I haven't participated in any of those gains, just in full transparency. I have a lot of people that I'm very close to that are obsessed, almost like cult-like, on XRP, but I don't own it. I've never owned it. I will say this though. Oftentimes we have these conversations saying the stocks or the investments that tend to have the greatest volatility or move the most powerfully are oftentimes, how should I put this? The most controversial. For example, Tesla. Just look at the bull market that Tesla had that it capped off in 2021. It was nuts. It was like every day it was gapping up like 8%. Bitcoin is another really good example, right? That reached over $100,000. And they're very divisive, right? It's either you talk to somebody about Bitcoin, they think it's a fraud, they think it's a national security threat, according to Peter Schiff today. It's kind of interesting to see the evolution of Peter Schiff's takes on Bitcoin over the years. First, he thought it was irrelevant, nobody would buy it, it could never compete with gold. Then he's like, it's just a Ponzi scheme that's going to collapse. And now it has such relevance that it's apparently a national security threat. So I don't know how it can go from being irrelevant, nobody's going to buy it because gold is the dominant player, to then being, it's just a Ponzi scheme, it's going to go to zero. And now Bitcoin is so powerful that it's a national security threat. I just don't understand that. Anyway, but you kind of have that same crowd with XRP, right? You talk to somebody about XRP, it's like, this is going to be a billion, trillion, quadrillion market cap. Or you talk to the latter, that just says it's nonsense. So I don't have a position in it. I don't own it. I've never owned it. So I totally missed all that move. But I think the price of the coin went up like 400% or something wild. MD says TSCM Arizona plant likely to produce NVIDIA Blackwell chips. Very nice. Now, was that a mistake not to get into XRP for me? I'm going to say no, because I've been in these cycles since late 2016. And it's usually a same pattern every single time in the crypto environment. Most people will get distracted by what I like to call the shiny object syndrome. They'll say, oh, coin XYZ is going up 1 trillion%. Let me move my money to that coin. And all of these, S coins, as they call them in the cryptoverse, everybody just chases the next shiny object that goes to zero. And then they lose out on the meat of the move with Bitcoin, which is actually, in my opinion, kind of the only asset that's really worth its weight, in my view. So most people try to trade the altcoins and just lose money, and then they miss out on just buying and holding Bitcoin, the only unconfiscatable asset in the world. So look, if you think you have the expertise to kind of trade those altcoins, God bless. For me, I'd rather just slowly over time accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. Look at this thing. This is cool. This is like South Beach Hookah Lounge. Oh my God, yeah, Trade Brigade, I saw that. Hawk Tua. Now, I have a question. I honestly have a legitimate question here. Maybe we have some attorneys in the chat or something. It is my understanding, right? From my understanding, if I just go and create any random coin, right, and market it to people and tell people to buy it. So for example, and I would never do this, so don't take this out of context. But for example, let's say if I made, a Walks on Wall Street crypto coin, and I was telling everybody to buy it, right? While at the same time I'm selling that coin to profit, that's like an insider trading pump and dump style scam. And in my opinion, that would be soliciting an unregistered and unlicensed security. So how can all of these like celebrities shill these investments, right? I'm using the word investment because, if you're telling people to buy a coin, that's like an investment. Like, how is that not illegal? That's the one thing I don't understand. Maybe it is, right? I mean, I saw this same exact cycle in 2021 when you had like Kevin Hart, Tom Brady shilling like FTX and all this stuff. And it's almost as if Sam Bankman-Fried used them as kind of like the useful idiots to pump that stuff. I would just say, don't get involved in it. But I also don't feel bad for people who lost money. And I know that kind of sounds maybe a little bit harsh and it sounds bad, but if you're gonna buy a Hawk Tua coin and like plow a significant amount of money into that, I mean, I think you deserve to lose your money. I mean, that's just like absolutely ridiculous. I mean, maybe that's a hot take, but I mean, it's so mind-numbingly ridiculous, the whole thing, that I can't even believe that people put, millions of dollars into this obvious fraud. Now, I haven't been following it too much, but I mean, obviously everybody sees it, right? Because, I mean, it goes trending on X, people send it back and forth. So I've heard about it. And apparently there's some big like online investigators that are like grilling this girl for launching this project that scammed everybody. But it's like, guys, like, come on. If like, why in a million years would you ever, this random girl from Tennessee that knows nothing about anything, and you would buy a cryptocurrency that she just created out of thin air and then get all upset when you lose your money? Like, aren't you just asking to lose your money? I don't know. Anyway. All right, everybody, this is the Lincoln Road. Peters, as if they say the celebrity in the ad says that is a paid advertisement, and do your due diligence. I don't know, but Peter, then it comes into, so to Peter's point, right here, I think this is kind of how I could probably sum this up. Gary Gensler did a really, really bad job with creating like clear regulatory frameworks around cryptocurrencies. And that's why, in my humble opinion, you have many of these frauds, right? I guess I'll use the word allegedly just in case, but it's quite obvious, right? If you don't have clear framework to say you can't print, a crypto token out of thin air and market it to people, particularly kids, well, then people are just going to continue to do it. It's like a big grift. It's like a charlatan grift, I guess. MD says nobody is clearly advising her. I mean, maybe. I don't know. The way I think of it is, she came into all this money, and once she got a taste of money, it's intoxicating, and she got greedy, and now you got wrapped up in this elaborate investment scheme, I guess. Which is terrible because, yeah, people lost money on it, but I mean, how could you possibly buy something that's, I don't know. Anyway, I guess we'll move on from it because I don't really know too much about it. But guys, this is the very famous Lincoln Road right here. And right in front of you, you have the beautiful Ritz-Carlton. I guess the biggest problem, I guess I won't say problem, but it's like the lack of opportunity cost, right? If you think about the 2023 returns for the S&P 500, the S&P was up over 20% in 2023. And so far this year, right, we still have, more than half the month of December to go, but the S&P is up over 20% yet again. So most people, like retail, I guess you could just sum it up as like retail investors, retail traders, they get intoxicated by the get-rich-quick schemes. I mean, this is a get-rich-quick scheme. All the, buy this coin, this meme thing. they're marketed as get-rich-quick schemes. Nobody wants to get rich slowly, so they spend all of their time trying to get rich quick, when if they'd just been patient and invested slowly over time, they would have actually gotten rich. And you see this over and over and over again, right? All of these, America's most powerful companies, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, they're all up double digits for the year. And if you go back over the last 10 years, they're up hundreds of percent. So just, the only thing I could say is just focus on companies with earnings, focus on the quality, and I can't advise anybody, but I would not be investing any money in Hawk 2 memes, or whatever the scheme she put up. Nate Webb says, do you think the economy is coming back with all the new tax promises? I mean, I think the economy is pretty strong right now, to be honest. If you look at GDP growth in the United States, and if you look at the forward estimates for GDP growth, they're all being revised higher. And also, another thing that we haven't really been talking too much about is that the United States of America is almost at full employment, right? Our unemployment rate is really low. Lavetta says, do I self-manage my rentals? Yes. Trade Brigade says, economy never went anywhere. GDP forecast just got bumped up. Took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, and what was Trade Brigade? I think you watched the Ken Griffin interview on the DealBook Summit. He says that, the big picture, right? Because I think Andrew Ross Sorkin, the first thing he said is, look, we got to talk about the big picture, which is the tariffs. And Ken Griffin was like, no. The big picture is not the tariffs. His whole thing was, we need to figure out a way to grow ourselves out of this big problem. And that's going to come in the form of American productivity. So if all of the, AI, let's say hype, lives up to what everybody is saying it is, if U.S. productivity goes up significantly, maybe we have a shot. If you guys haven't watched that interview, I just want to check out this car. I don't know, I think they have some interesting vehicle on display. What does it say? Oh, it's an Acura. I'm just curious what it says on the side of it. Oh, maybe it's just painted for the Art Basel. Man, the landscaping here is really nice. Yeah, Lee Oswald says Canada's unemployment rate hit a new high, Tom. It's worrying. But it does seem like Trudeau wants to kind of play ball, or at least get ahead of the curve when it comes to Trump. Justin Trudeau was actually in South Florida at Mar-a-Lago, I believe, last week, kind of trying to do the whole song and dance with President-elect Trump. We'll see what happens. But who knows? From the looks of it now, a lot of the world leaders appear to be, cozying up to Trump, and at least trying to maybe tame the beast, so to speak, right? So we'll see. The way I think about it is, it can be mutually beneficial. America's gain doesn't have to be Canada's loss, but Trudeau just needs to be willing to play ball. I don't really believe in the zero-sum game. The US can prosper, Mexico can prosper, and Canada can prosper. Yeah, I saw that. Dee says Trump met the PM of France. A lot of big world leaders were in France for the reopening of the cathedral, right? I was reading an article. The CEO of LVMH, Bernard Arnault, supposedly gave a huge chunk of money to rebuild the cathedral in France. And I think he was there at the kind of opening event. Hey, Alexander M. Cheers. Good to see you. Bourgeois says, I miss Miami. Indeed. Now, kind of piggybacking on that conversation and on the topic of, do we think the economy is going to grow with all these proposed tax cuts, or is the economy going to go into a short-term tailspin with the Trump tariffs? One thing I think people should also be thinking about is the following. Everything that we just talked about, the revised estimates for GDP, everything is being revised higher. Pretty much full employment in the United States, record low unemployment in America. All while, the Federal Reserve is now switching from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing, while at the same time, we now have the most pro-business administration in history, the most pro-crypto administration in history. So that's really gonna, throw a lot of gas on the fire. That's already cooking pretty hot. I think a lot of people need to understand that, because America is already firing on all cylinders. Already. And now we're going to have a deal maker in office, a debt guy in office, right? Trump is a real estate guy, he's a debt guy, while interest rates are projected to continue to come down as the Fed continues to ease. That is very reminiscent of a potential maybe overheating scenario for the economy looking forward. Maybe the market will have a little bit of a gyration in Q1, right after Inauguration Day, to kind of, digest all of those gains. Man, this is a really nice view here of this hotel on Collins. What I think may happen is we may get, the buy the rumor, sell the news event, right? This massive rally that we're getting right now is pricing in the Trump victory, which obviously already happened. But once he's in on Inauguration Day, maybe the market sells off and peels back for a quarter, right? Kind of selling that news of the Inauguration Day, because all of these stocks are kind of already priced in. You got to remember, equities trade on a 6-month outlook. The stock prices you're buying right now, in theory, is the price of the business 6 months out, right? So perhaps when we finally get our first sizable correction in the S&P 500, let's say a 10% to 15% correction, I think that is going to possess monstrous opportunities, right? Assuming that a lot of these leading stocks find a base, reemerge out of these handles, kind of like we're seeing right now, and we charge much higher. But it is possible. I mean, what do you guys think of that kind of high level? Hey, what's up, Frank? Thanks for joining us. Jiga says, let's see how the inflation reports come out. That's another good point, right? I mean, if you're going to have interest rates coming down with, Trump gassing the economy, that could potentially be inflationary. Peter says, do you think the crypto coins will make it harder for the Fed to control the money supply, since people view these coins as money and may use it like money? Look, the way I think about crypto is the following. I don't see value in really any of the altcoins, mostly, maybe with a very, very select few, I do. But I think you can use that as a risk appetite on the street. So what I'm thinking right now, if you remember the massive Bitcoin and crypto bull market of 2017, right? When some of these altcoins were, up 1,000%, 2,000, 5,000%, some of these altcoins. Now that we have Gary Gensler, who is the former SEC chair, right, by all means, and now we're getting a new SEC chair who's going to be very favorable to cryptocurrencies. I'm projecting the speculative mania on a magnitude of probably a 3 or 4x of 2017. That's how really nutty it's probably going to get, right? Because now you have, just look at the Commerce Secretary now, right? Howard Lutnick. The guy's worth about $2 billion, the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, and he owns like 200, maybe 250 million, $250 million worth of Bitcoin, right? And then you're going to get a new SEC chair. So I'm what you would call a Bitcoin maximalist, but it would be naive of me to say that in this cycle, some of the altcoins wouldn't go up by a magnitude of probably 8 to 10x. So that's really where your mania is going to be. Now, everybody, I'm assuming, has heard of MicroStrategy, right? We've been talking about that stock for a long, long time. I think you're going to have a big speculative mania that will probably end badly with that, right? But that's how kind of bull markets hit their crescendo. Many people are calling a top on MicroStrategy right now, but we've just only breached the previous high that was set during the 2000 dot-com bubble, right? There's a lot more speculative excess that needs to be priced into that stock, right? Usually when those type of things top, you see consistent gap ups every single day. It'll be like gapping up. If you just Google, right? If you Google Wall Street cheat sheet, let me just cross the street here. But if you just Google Wall Street cheat sheet, you'll see a market cycle play out. It's like a cheat sheet of speculative manias and bubbles. If you look at that Wall Street cheat sheet, and then you look at a stock chart of, let's say, the ARK Innovative ETF, ARKK, they look exactly the same. Right? They look exactly the same. I think you're going to have that happen with MicroStrategy. That stock is probably going to blow off to like $1,000, and then it's going to come down in a heap. So I don't think the move is done yet. Do I own any MicroStrategy? I don't. But if you do a post-analysis of how these bull markets end, they don't die of old age. They die of unbelievable speculative excess. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the whole crypto / MicroStrategy. Hey Ben, what's going on? Good to see you. We are here at Espanola Way. I got back to Miami last night, and the weather is perfect. We're right here on Washington Avenue, and Espanola Way looks pretty good tonight. It's Sunday night and it's absolutely packed. Usually this is kind of the crowd you would have on like a Friday or Saturday night, but hey, Dalton, this is Tom, long time no chat. Thanks for joining. Ben says, what are you doing tomorrow? I got to do a bunch of like mundane tasks around the house tomorrow. But if you send me an email, maybe later in the day I could be available to do something. But the next 2 days I just got to get my house situated, and I had tenants move in today, so it's been like moving day for me. MD, I did get rid of the pipe clogger. I did. Frank says, I feel like network effects will keep Bitcoin and others around for quite some time. Oh yeah, I am a total Bitcoin maximalist. Like, I am probably one of the most pro and original Bitcoin bulls ever. So I agree. So this is the main Espanola Way here in South Beach. It is definitely looking pretty festive here. Hayes Productions, good to see you. This is Tom, what are your thoughts on gold? I've been very bullish gold. If you've been reading the Behind the Street newsletter that I send out every other Thursday, we've been massively bullish gold, but the fastest horse in the race is Bitcoin, right? The way I think about gold as it relates to Bitcoin is if Bitcoin moves up, or if gold moves up 10%, Bitcoin's gonna move up 20%. But it's like a leveraged gold position. That's kind of how I think about it. Hey, what's up, Dutchman? Good to see you. Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Hey, see you. This is a good Spanish restaurant. Hi! Hey, good to see you. Oh man, his breath smelled like shit. But yeah, that's true. I mean, Trade Brigade says look around, you know, what recession? You know, people are out spending money, people are out. I mean, for a Sunday night, it seems like the economy, at least locally, is doing pretty good. Let's continue to go down. Scott says, would you rather S&P membership? What do you mean by that, S&P membership? I really like this Spanish style architecture here. I know, right?
Victory!
Hey, Temporal, what's up? I was in Little Buenos Aires today, and I'll probably be there most of the day tomorrow too. Just even looking at these palm trees just makes me feel more relaxed. You know, let's do a U-turn here and let's go to Ocean Drive, and maybe I'll try to get you guys on the ocean. Sometimes they have some cool stuff set up over there. Looks like we have a few artists here. All right, let's head back to Ocean Drive. Peters' first quarter moon tonight and full moon next Sunday. The traffic was unbelievable. Someone says S&P inclusion versus ARC. Well, I will say something about ARC, which is Kathy Wood's ETF. That looks like it's going to recycle again. If you've heard of Richard Wyckoff theory, you'll have an accumulation zone, you'll have your markup, you'll have your blow off top, you'll have your markdown, and then you'll have your reaccumulation. I think right now ARC is going through a markup after a reaccumulation. If you follow us on X, the X platform, at Walks Wall Street, you'll be able to see some of the charts that I post. So those stocks look like they're being recycled now. And those stocks usually get recycled. I mean, it's the same in every cycle. They'll get recycled after massive, massive losses, which all of those stocks have gone down 80+%. I mean, every single one of them has gone down well over 80%.
What'd you think?
All right, we'll take one more shot. Espanol away. And then we'll head out. Now, even just as a little bit of an anecdote, right, some anecdotal data here, you can kind of tell things are getting a little bit frothy now, but that doesn't mean the move is done, right? That usually means the move is starting and you're going to have some sort of a blow-off speculative top. You know, anecdotally, even from, you know, doing this live broadcast for the last 3 years, right? Very, very, very seldom throughout all of 2022 especially, and 2023, I would almost never ever get any emails or people putting in the chat, hey, what do you think about this stock? What do you think about this ticker? What do you think about this coin? Because they weren't really moving that much, and they were moving up kind of slowly. You know, people kind of check out, but when everything's flying, that's when everybody starts to pay attention, right? So I'm just starting to see that now as a little bit of an anecdote, just like from my email box, people sending me direct messages on Twitter, and just in the chat, you see a lot of people, and I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, it's good to kind of keep tabs on it. More people saying, what do you think about this stock? What do you think about this ticker? Should I buy this? Should I buy that? Blah, 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 blah. That is reminiscent of frothiness, which doesn't signify the end of a move, that usually signifies the move is going to get very, very, very powerful, and then you're going to have some sort of a blow off. Same thing that happened in 2021. Once you pay attention and you're really, really in the game through like 2 or 3 cycles, you'll start to kind of notice a lot of this stuff pop up. It'll be very reminiscent. That's why I would suggest read that book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. I love the entire vibe of this pizza shop. 2 Vespas out front. Beautiful palm trees. I mean, you can't get better than this. Now, I'm going to take you guys to the Betsy Ross. This is a pretty unique hotel, but you have a unique art piece, which is called the Betsy Orb. I don't know if you can call it an art piece, actually. Maybe you could call it, maybe you could call it a monument, sculpture.
You might have fucking real kids.
Anyway, the Betsy Orb is where we are going to go next. It's right off of Collins as we head towards Ocean Drive. And now we'll be able to see some of the most famous Art Deco buildings in South Beach. And this is the first time I've been here in a little over a month. It's been like a month and a half, so. Ocean Drive Plaza. Usually they have these lights lit up. Seems like something's going on up front. Hey, New England Crypto, what's going on? Cheers. We're just about to head to Ocean Drive. And then we're going to take Ocean Drive all the way down to the south of 5th neighborhood. Oh, wow. Guys, look at this. Wow. Wow. Excuse me.
It starts right now.
Wow. It's kind of unique, right? This reminds me of that big thing in Las Vegas. That was crazy trippy. It's super unique though, right? I think I could probably sit there and watch that thing for hours. I don't know what about it, but I was like getting hypnotized. It was telling me Tesla's gonna go to 1,000 for the cycle. We'll see if that happens in 10 years. Anyway, this is the Betsy Ross. That was the Betsy Orb. And here we are on Ocean Drive. Wow, this place is really beautiful. This is a very sophisticated place, I guess. This is like a beautiful, beautiful Miami night here. This is the famous Betsy Ross. This is a cool shot with the palm tree and the moon in the back. Anybody here ever been to the Betsy Ross? Like for dinner or something, for drinks? Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the stream tonight, a very interesting live stream during Art Basel, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. I think if you just set up a camera like right there, that would be a really good like ASMR type video. I used to watch those all the time when I would study and things like that, like coffee shop ASMR. So these are all the Art Deco buildings. And the ocean is just off to our left. We'll go on the sidewalk so we could see a little bit better. But it seems like a lot of people are out tonight. Irish says, will I be in New York City for Christmas? I will be. I'll be flying back to New York in about 2 weeks, a week and a half. It's interesting seeing Christmas decorations in Miami. This is one of my favorite buildings here, the Winter Haven. I think they have a big tent set up over to the left. Looks like something for Art Basel. Kansas City is playing. Hey, Michelle K, thank you so much. Glad you enjoyed the Miami streams. Ah, Nate is on my way in a week or so. Nice. It is funky seeing Christmas stuff though when it's summer out.
You have a million. You have a million. You gotta have at least a million. 200,000 of them.
7 Snows, this reminds me of Scarface. I think we're about to pass the Scarface CVS in a minute. I believe there's a CVS in there. I want to cross the street and check this out. I think it says United Art. It's probably closed down now, but it's almost like walking in a video game. Ocean Drive here. Like, have you ever watched a B-roll of like a video game? It's kind of how it feels tonight, for whatever reason. What does this say?
My guy, you know where the great elephant thing is?
The orb?
Migration?
The Betsy orb?
No, it's to the wooden elephants on South Beach.
What's this?
We don't know.
Oh, that's on the beach. I think it's closed. I think they closed the beach. But I think the entrance is literally right behind this United Untitled thing.
Okay.
But I think they may close off the beach after a certain time.
Oh, thank you.
But if there's security there, you could ask him. But it's there.
Okay.
It's on the water. Yeah, no worries. Brad, this could be a wild week ahead. Really curious to watch Palantir open up. Yeah, my God, that stock has gone insane. Same thing with Robinhood and same thing with Coinbase. Coin and Robinhood, I think, are the two main IPOs with the most amount of juice, so to speak. CPQ Trainer says 36th Street are the elephants. Really? Somebody DM'd me on Instagram about the elephants, and it says it was South Beach, but it's on the water. I think they're literally right on the beach. They're on the sand, I believe. Maybe I'll have to check that out tomorrow if I have time. All right, this is the Versace mansion.
Are you fucking stupid?
West Coast walkers, there's lots of traffic in Miami tonight. Yeah, it's been pretty wild. Gridlock traffic, you could say. Brad says I'm in Robinhood as well. I'd like to get kicked out of my options by end of year and then hold through end of year before climbing back in. Situation Room says would front run the tax selling and trim the last week of December. It's an interesting point. Now, what we were talking about at the very, very beginning of the stream is usually when, particularly coming off back-to-back monster years, right? 2023 was a lights out year. 2024, this has just been unbelievable. If some hedge fund managers are up massively on some of these stocks, they actually won't sell going into the end of the year. They'll hold their biggest winners and then liquidate the first or second week of the new year. So January 2025, because that kicks the tax bill out in extra April, right? So instead of paying the taxes April 2025, you'll be able to kick it out one more year to April 2026, if that makes sense. So who knows, maybe we have, a really, really strong kind of frothy year-end rally, and then we have a correction in Q1. I don't know. Maybe, we'll see. Oh, let's make a U-turn and start to head up. Now, I think the CVS is one more. We might as well see the CVS since we're here. This is 10th Street. Now, this is also the Art Deco Welcome Center. So if anyone is very interested in architecture, you can come here and you can get free guided tours. Right on the corner of 10th Street and Ocean Drive, the Art Deco Welcome Center. And some of the tours I think are free too. And you know, they'll go building by building, tell you a little bit about it. And that's the famous Miami Beach clock. So Ho Joe, what's going on? Good to see you. Look at this. This is pretty cool. Does anyone know what street the CVS is on? I feel like we may have passed it, but I also feel like we may be about to walk right past it. I don't know. Kevin's is telling me if you ever make it down to Key West. Oh yeah, I haven't been to Key West yet, just mainly because I haven't had time to, but that is on the bucket list. I really, really want to go to Key West. That is for sure. CPQ Trainers says it's on 7th Street. Okay, we'll go down to 7th Street. It's only a few more blocks, like 2 more blocks. I mean, if we've already come down this far, we might as well check it out. Lisa's 14th Street, it's on. Well, maybe we'll walk back up, I don't know. I always get confused on where it is. Blue Marlin, what's up? Scope Miami Beach. We got some big events for the Art Basel. Johnny, no, I haven't done any of the Art Basel events. Oh no, it's right here. Yeah, this is where it is. Maybe tomorrow. I just got to get a lot of stuff done tomorrow, but I am glad to be back. I'm glad to be back in Miami. I just feel a lot better. I was getting a little bit run down from New York, but it's good to be back. So this is the Scarface. I'll have to remember it's right next to the Colony Hotel, which is also one of my favorite Art Deco style buildings. But this CVS was the one that was in the movie Scarface. Look at that classic car here. Austin City Limits. I'll probably be here for about 2 weeks and then come back to New York just before Christmas. Look at the line of cars all the way down. All right, let's go to the corner and cross, and then let's head back up. Maybe we'll cross on 7th and then we'll check out the plaque that's there, because I've never actually read that before. Here's another old classic car, kind of gives off a Cuban vibe. I think this is a Cuban restaurant after all. Man, that is a pretty cool car, right? Ah, it's an Oldsmobile. This is Madison 32. I wouldn't know which one is which, so I take your word for it. Let's just say that. Ah, this is it. I almost passed it again. Let's see what it says, guys. $1983, wow. Al Pacino. That's kind of cool, right? I'm glad we came over here. We never come over here. All right, let's head back up. Tatted T, what's going on? Brad's Brains says, would you believe I have never seen Scarface? I've never seen it either, and I still haven't watched that movie that you recommended. But maybe on the flight back to New York, I'll watch the movie. Reggie 44 says Godfather for me. Really nice gelato shop. Let's get off of Ocean Drive so we can walk a little bit faster all the way back up. Kind of curious what futures are doing. I didn't even get a chance to check out futures. Oh, nice. Honest, I saw a Cybertruck the other day. A lady was going through grocery bags in her trunk. Oh, that's hilarious. You thought she was going through bags in a dumpster for a second. The body of the Cybertruck does look a little bit dumpster-esque, but in a good way, if it's possible. If I'm able to live down here full-time or full-ish time, I'd have to get the Cybertruck. Yeah, Cubiz, that was pretty cool. Scarface sitting in the car. Maybe we'll cross one more. We'll wait for the light. Yeah, Joel PM, SMCI does continue to rally. That's quite interesting. I'm a little bit, I guess you could say, scared out of that stock. Especially due to the EY dropping them as an auditor, but yeah, I think that stock was up 34% or something wild just on Friday alone. Now the thing about those big boom and busts, and I think I posted this on my X right as that stock was about to fall to pieces. When you have those huge crescendo capitulation events, you have these monster snapback rallies, and a lot of it is fueled by short covering. I mean, there was probably people that made a fortune shorting that stock, but I played no part in that. Now, SMCI, I would say, was one of my greatest calls of the year, but it was not actionable. I didn't. There's a complete difference between calling something and then putting money behind it. But SMCI looked like a classic kind of blow off top. Now, if you guys want to understand like what it feels like to have, you know, a stock, when we always use that terminology, blow off top, just look at the SMCI, right? If you can remember when SMCI was gapping up every day, you know, it was like the top performing semiconductor stock in the sector. That's how it feels, you know, gapping up every day on massive volume. And then the price will kind of come down very violently and then chop around, and then you have that big crescendo down. JK, this is Korean markets pulling futures down. What is the KOSPI doing right now? I mean, that's been another crazy piece of news last week. We had a 3-hour martial law in South Korea, and then we had, the Syrian revolution over the weekend. Assad is no longer in power, I guess. I mean, I don't know too much about it. I'm not a big, I guess, geopolitical expert, but this kind of looks like an original, like 1970s, like Miami style in this hotel here. Wow, someone says Assad is in Moscow. Some of the lobbies look pretty well kept.
Yes, but especially on ocean, for example, the restaurant on the beach.
Now, kind of revisiting something interesting, if you guys look at the Japanese Nikkei index, that looks like it's going to make another high, and that was one of our other bolder calls for the year, particularly as that yen carry trade was unwinding and we had the flash crash that was worse than the 1987 stock market crash. But, you know, it sounds crazy, but when you have an indice, particularly a major equity indice, that rallies all the way back to a previous high, especially in the case of Japan, when Japan rallied all the way back to its 1989 high, which is crazy, right? You usually have a major reaction in price. And that's pretty much exactly what we had. A huge reaction in price, and I think Japan will go on to make a new record high. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the new high before 2025. I'm starving. I gotta get some dinner. I was so busy cleaning today. Brad says, anybody in or looking at SoFi? I'm not, but maybe I'll start to look at it because a few people that are pretty savvy money managers have recommended the name. I just don't really know too much about it, and I'm in other stuff. But I'll check it out. Yeah, Rocky Rocks is Japan after how many decades? New high. Yeah, I mean, it hit its top in 1989, which is well before my existence in life. But the reason why I think it's such a big opportunity is because ever since the Japanese crisis, the equity market in Japan has been a real laggard, like an extreme laggard, which has resulted, by the way, in record low stock ownership amongst Japanese retail investors, right? So most people, and you almost see this in Korea, right? And even anecdotally from some of my Korean friends, very low exposure to equities. They just save all of their money in bank accounts and just live off the interest. There's very, very low ownership of equities. So you have record low ownership in Japan of equities while the market is just climbing back to a new record high. When arguably you could say that Japan is best positioned in Asia, as well as Singapore. A Trade Brigade, have a good night. Thanks for popping on. And make it a profitable week. I gotta go back up to 26th Street, I think. I think that's where I'm parked. I was having a good conversation with a friend the other night about Argentina and just how Argentina could potentially act as a major pivotal point throughout all of Latin America. You know, what Milei is doing is pretty unbelievable. Inflation is coming down, and I mean, if anybody here is from Argentina, you know, you've had 100% plus inflation rate. I mean, I don't even know how people live like that. That must be extremely difficult. So to be able to turn back towards free markets and capitalism, you know, they're really starting to turn the corner there. Yeah, Darren says Argentina will change greatly over the next 4 years. Professor Dario says, yes, you are right. And you know, it only takes one country in the region to show like massive success, if you think about it. So imagine all of the other neighboring countries. If Argentina is really successful at this, and my bet is that they will, they're gonna totally change the economy around. Inflation's gonna fall through the floor. You're gonna have price stability. What I call phase two is the following. Now, the reason why you don't have a lot of foreign investment in Argentina is really because of the instability in price. It's very difficult to do business there if you're a foreigner because of, I mean, inflation is just so high. So when you have inflation come down and you have price stability, well, then that opens up a whole different can of worms to grow the economy, because then you get the outside money coming in, right? That's phase two. We're still a little far away from that now, but in a few years, you know, maybe 4 years, you know, if they do a complete 180 on inflation, you're going to start to see foreign investment into the country, and that is going to be an explosion of economic growth for Argentina. And that could be a model book for the region, right? Because everybody else is like, wait, I don't want to live, you know, in a socialist, high inflationary environment. And then, you know, people vote different, and then it creates a big boom. So I'm very optimistic. Very, very optimistic for Argentina. This is Espanola way again, but we're going to continue to walk up. Darren says, I wish I could be optimistic for Ukraine. I would say I'm very, very optimistic for Ukraine. I believe we'll see a very swift resolution to that just totally heartbreaking war that's going on in Eastern Europe, which is pretty much just like a meat grinder. I mean, there's no progress. Nobody's winning. It's just the youth of Ukraine and the youth of Russia getting sent off to be just mutilated. That's pretty much the truth. So I think you'll have a swift resolution to that war, which is good. And I think the death and the dying will stop. At least that's what I'm betting on. Which is very good for everybody. I'm trying to figure out what I'll eat tonight. I think I'm going to go to my favorite burger spot. If anybody is thinking about traveling to Miami, maybe for like a weekend or something like that, there's a really good spot that you have to visit. It's very good. It's in Little Buenos Aires, 72nd Street and Collins Avenue. If you want to look it up, it's called Burgers and Shakes. It's a really good spot, and it's open till 4 o'clock in the morning. So I may have to head over there. There was another really good spot that I ate at today. It was this Argentinian bakery that's close, pretty close to my house. I had some empanadas there, which were really good. It's a good spot. They had a bunch of Leo Messi jerseys all over the wall. Professor, I sent you a few photos of the bakery. This was a different one. This wasn't the Cachito Coffee and Bakery. That's also another good one. But this one's closer to my house. This one isn't in Little Buenos Aires. It's a good spot. And guys, it is very cheap. I mean, oh my gosh. You can get an entire breakfast, you know, bacon, eggs, an empanada, and a coffee for $8.75. I mean, in New York, that's like 20. I mean, if you're at a sit-down restaurant in New York, that's 25 bucks. So if you go into some of the more non-touristy places in Miami-Dade, like North Miami Beach, North Miami, there's some really good spots that are really affordable too. Patrice 2020, what's going on? Thanks for joining us tonight. Leslie says, Tom, do you ever eat at home? Usually when I'm in Miami, I usually eat at home, but today was just too hectic. I usually do a lot of grilling here in Miami, but in New York, no. I'm just being honest. I would never have any time. I would never be able to get anything done. You know, New York is a city where it's so hectic all the time in Manhattan that I just don't know how people have the time to go home and cook. Most people, you know, order out, they get something to eat. But hopefully, you know, once I settle down at my new spot in New York, maybe I'll start to utilize the kitchen a little bit more. We'll see. It would definitely save me a lot of money, but in the business I'm in, you also have to take people out to eat a lot. So, look at this pizza place. Wow. I've eaten here a few times, and it looks pretty busy. Must be, what, 10 o'clock at night? 10:30? People are still outside eating? Hey, what's up, David? Says, hey, Tom, what do you think of the current condo situation in Florida? Owners are very upset about all the rising costs. Yeah, so there's, and we've been covering this to a very, very large extent. You're going to see a major, major change and a huge shift in the condo market down here, because a lot of the older, I should say 1970s, 1980s buildings, they're all coming up on something called a special assessment. Now here's the issue, right? A lot of the condominiums here, from my knowledge, is because, you know, I was actually going to buy in a condo when I moved down here, but then I'm like, you know, I was looking through a lot of the building financials, and I'm like, no, I actually think it's probably going to be more advantageous to buy single family and duplexes and triplexes in Miami-Dade for this specific reason. If you look at the vast majority of new supply coming on the market in Miami-Dade, it's all condominiums. You're not building new homes in Miami-Dade County. Okay, it's just not going to happen. So which is the scarcer asset? A single family home, a duplex, or a condo, right? You could build an infinite amount of condos. You know, they're all going up all over the place. But some people just want to live in a house, you know? Now, the issue is a lot of these older condos are coming up on the special assessments. And in many cases, if it's a $200,000 condo, the assessment could be, you know, 75% of the underlying value. It could be like a $75,000 special assessment, in which case the owner is not going to have the money to pay that assessment to, you know, bring the building back up to where it needs to be. What we've been seeing is a lot of small or a lot of large private equity shops coming in and trying to do a buyout of the whole building. So let's say if there's 50 units in the building, right? 50 units in the building. They'll go around to every single owner in the building and offer them a tender offer to buy them out. They'll say, okay, we'll pay you like 1.5x your valuation. You could walk away with a big chunk of change, right? Because, I mean, valuations has risen a significant amount. Everybody moves out, and then the developer demos the entire building and now sells the land to a developer. Now, why would they want to do that? Well, the land, the underlying land value now on many of these condos is more valuable than the building that actually sits on it itself because of those reasons. You know, if you have a fresh plot of land in Miami-Dade County, well, now you could build something beautiful, brand new, up to code, right? And sell it for a premium price per square foot. So, you know, be careful if you're thinking about buying down here. You know, many people say, oh, wow, this is a condo right on the beach.
Yeah, fuck
it's
that.
Right on
Welcome
the
to
water.
Miami, bro.
Oh man, he smelled like shit. Many people will say, wow, there's this really nice condo right on the water for $250,000. This seems like a great deal. When in reality, if you do some digging throughout the financials in the building, they probably don't have any working capital left, right? The working capital fund is probably depleted, and the building is probably coming up on some major special assessment, in which case that could be a $50,000 capital outlay, right? It's going to be massive capex. So I would, If you really want to buy in a condo down here, I would stick to new development, or as new as possible, or I would buy single family homes in a non-flood zone. Now, many of you are thinking, well, there's probably nowhere you could buy a single family home in a non-flood zone in Miami. To which case I would say, well, you're just gonna have to do your own research, because there are amazing opportunities where I still think that places in Miami are significantly underpriced. And that may sound crazy after the massive run-up we've had, but you'll probably have better returns, in my humble opinion, buying very, very prime, good location, single family homes, as opposed to buying a condo in Miami. That's just my humble opinion. I want to be GMOs is where isn't the flood zone in Miami? Well, you're gonna have to do that research yourself. I don't know, that's kind of the way I've been thinking about it, because you could build up, right? You could build as high as you want, within reason, right? I'm just kind of speaking tongue in cheek a little bit. But, communities of single family homes, if you look at the majority of them, right, especially I would say south of Aventura, most of them are very, very old. They're the original kind of Miami homes of the 1950s and 1960s. People are going to start catching on, buying those homes and building really nice homes. So the land value is, let's just say this, it's the play is the land here, okay? If you can accumulate a really sizable position, it's kind of like buying a stock over time, right? If you're running a significant amount of money and you're $1 billion fund, well, you're not going to get 100% of a position in a stock overnight, because you're going to move the stock around. You got to slowly accumulate those shares over the course of a month or 2 months. So if you can find a really, really nice subdivision in Miami-Dade of single family homes and slowly accumulate those single family homes, well, maybe down the line you could roll those homes up, pitch it to whatever county and say, okay, let's do a rezoning here. I know it's zoned for only single family, but I own, these 8 single family homes in this subdivision. It could only house 8 people. What if we would have a little bit more relaxed zoning where I could roll this up and now we could house 50 to 100 people, right? The government is more willing to listen to you. And if that's the case, that land value just, 8 to 10 X's. So, but that's like a 15-year play. You got to be willing to be patient and slowly accumulate, and then have the fight about the rezoning and say, look, would you rather have 12 single family homes where only 12 families could live in them, or let me knock down all these homes, rezone the lot for commercial, and maybe I could sell this to a developer. Maybe I'll sell it to a related, who knows, right? Sell it to, XYZ developer that wants to build a multifamily unit to now we can house, 100 people, something like that. So when you're thinking about, when I'm thinking about Miami, Florida, at least that's the play that I'm hoping, in 20 years, thank you, that I'm hoping to accomplish. But maybe that takes 30 years, I don't know. But slowly but surely in the game, good location, non-flood zone, equidistant between the airports, right? That's very important. You want to be able to be, equidistant between Miami International Airport. You want to be also equidistant between Fort Lauderdale Airport, close to the beach, but further enough away where you're not in a flood zone, you're on good elevation. There's a lot of opportunities. So, Anyway. It's so true. Someone says, but those Aston Martin condos are amazing. They are. I mean, if you have, the money to buy that, then totally, I'd say have at it. Those are amazing one-of-one condos. David says, is there such thing as good elevation in Miami? Well, again, that's the question, right? Now, the good news is this is all publicly available information. You could literally go on, Miami-Dade County, go in the hammer down, North Miami Beach, North Miami, and you could just download all of the FEMA flood maps, and you could build yourself a map of Miami-Dade, and you can know all the flood zone. What's flood zone X? What's, bum, 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 bum. And then when you've accumulated that map and you've studied that map, now it's time to go out into the marketplace. Get on your Vespa, get in a car and drive the neighborhoods, right? So it's work, but that's what makes the big money. You got to put in the work. Also, what's very good is you can just go and knock on some doors, right? If you're curious to see if it floods in the neighborhood, just go knock on a few doors. Chances are in Miami, some people have been here forever. You have couples that have been in the same home since the late 50s, very, very old couples. They'll say, yeah, we flooded during Andrew. We didn't get too much damage in Hurricane Andrew. This and that. They'll tell you. So you could start door knocking, asking people. Anyway.
Hi.
Hey. We finally made it back to our destination. I have got to get something to eat. Lee. This is the highest elevation in Miami-Dade County. Florida is 20 to 25 feet above sea level. Lee, maybe I'll see you tomorrow. I will, maybe we'll meet up somewhere. But anyway, guys, have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Wishing you a happy, healthy, and safe week ahead. And if anybody's interested, if you're looking at buying something in Miami, just shoot me an email. I'll help you out the best I can. Out and About, Professor Dario, Tatted T, Mars Tech, UniJ23, Mohammed, Ahmed, thank you. FredX, the one and only, thank you FredX. Mike G, Mr. 15 Central Park West, Lena Sandoval, Temporal, Jay, DC322, Darren. We'll see you all in the next one. See you tomorrow.